Why is it important to have a portfolio in this field?
A portfolio is important to showcase your skills, especially since we use industry-specific software. So if you're really good at making 3D models, you can show that in your portfolio. If you're really good at drafting by hand, or if you're really good at making CAD documents, you could showcase more of that in your portfolio. And it just kind of gives an employer or a potential client more of an idea of your skill set and kind of gives them a reason as to why they should hire you.
That seems like it's a very crucial piece of the job searching puzzle for somebody to have coming out of school. How is building a portfolio built into your programs at Studio Institute?
The portfolio is built in mostly through the Adobe Photoshop class. That is how we make the layout for the portfolio. That's how we get it formatted to be printed like a book. And it's also built in through all the other classes like SketchUp and Revit. Every project that they're working on, they're doing with the intention of including it in their final portfolio.
Mm-hmm. I think it's a huge benefit to have that really built into the class and to have somebody who knows the professional inside scoop to really help you navigate that process. As a career coach, I know how stressful it can be for my clients to build out a resume and a cover letter and trying to figure out what else they need to apply to a position. So the portfolio really sounds like it's a one-stop shop and you have the support you need all along the way to really bring it into fruition and showcase your strengths.
Exactly.
Based on your professional opinion, what would be the contents or like how to have a killer portfolio?
Definitely the page formatting. So the portfolio should be an 8.5 by 22. So it would be 2 pages and it opens this way. So definitely being mindful of those printing boundaries and kind of formatting the layout so that when it opens, it's kind of a cohesive project and it's good to look at. It's not just one page is separate from the next page. Also labeling, putting page numbers, putting a table of contents, putting a good description of the project, including the vendor names and materials that you used and why you used them is definitely important for your portfolio presentation and helps the person that is reviewing your portfolio. Using spell check is really important. Adobe Photoshop has a spell check option, so that's really important to use on all of your pages, because if a client or a potential employer is reading through the pages and they notice that things are misspelled, it's a red flag in their mind that whoever created the portfolio isn't detail oriented or they were in a rush and they didn't care about it.
Yeah, absolutely. In resume writing as well, like I always tell my clients that having a typo or a spelling error in your resume is the greatest way to get quickly rejected, which is unfortunate, but it does really showcase that attention to detail. And really, a portfolio is a sample of the kind of work that somebody will be able to produce for a client or for an employer. So it's important that that really showcases what they're capable of. And I agree that detail orientation is incredibly important in these cases. And usually with resumes, I'm a stickler for format, and I usually have a very kind of cut and dry resume format formula. But I think that it's important to note that for these careers, specifically in the realm of design, the design and format of your resume is also a piece of your portfolio. It's showcasing your ability to design and format a document while also communicating important information. And I can see how the design of the resume, the letter of intent, and the portfolio projects and descriptions need to be cohesive so that it really comes together as one culminating project that highlights all of the projects within it.
I agree.
What are some examples of the projects that would be within a portfolio?
Some examples would be you could lay out the portfolio and separate it by residential, commercial, healthcare, hospitality, or you could separate it by the software that's used. You could do 3D modeling as a category. You could do CAD as a category. So it's really up to the student how they want to lay it out, but it should definitely be laid out according to your strengths. So your portfolio should only showcase your best work.
Mm-hmm. Naturally. And then What kinds of jobs would require somebody to submit a portfolio versus your more standard resume and cover letter that doesn't showcase as much of the design possibilities and potential?
I would recommend a portfolio to anybody going into construction management or interior design because it just sets you apart and shows that you put more dedication work in than somebody else who is just presenting a resume and cover letter. But it's especially important for interior design positions that in the job description list things like SketchUp, 3D modeling, rendering, Revit, CAD, spatial layouts, circulation plans, anything like that that you would need to showcase.
Mm-hmm. Do you ever recommend to your students to tailor parts of their portfolios or to highlight different projects or skills based on the jobs that they're applying for?
Somewhat. I've seen a student before who was really obsessed with Disney. She wasn't one of my students, but we went to school together. She really wanted to work for Disney. So she created her entire portfolio Disney themed, and everything in her portfolio was Disney. And then she applied to Disney and didn't get a job. So then she had to recreate her entire portfolio to apply to other jobs. Say don't limit your options. You should create a portfolio that you can present to anybody. But if there are jobs that are really specific to CAD, they're looking for a CAD designer, you could tailor your portfolio a little bit to eliminate some of the other things that aren't CAD related. Or you could save multiple portfolios, kind of the way that people will save multiple resumes. Like maybe one resume is customer service related, maybe one resume is interior design related, and you could kind of edit your portfolio by pages that way. But I would definitely recommend, to make it easier on themselves, to make one good portfolio that you could feel comfortable submitting to any company.
Mm-hmm. I think that's really good advice. I think it's very tangible advice to kind of go home and work on portfolios with and know that you're going to be prepared for all the opportunities that are at hand and you're not closing any doors before they open and keeping as many open as possible at that.
Yeah, exactly.
Mm-hmm. So along those lines, could you provide some examples of the jobs or job titles of that students land after graduating from your programs?
Junior interior designer is one, which is like an entry-level interior designer where you'll be working with a team of more experienced interior designers. Design assistant is another entry-level position where you'll be working for a company, but you're kind of in that assistant position where you work for multiple designers and kind of helping them along the way until you move up. Showroom sales is a really big one. I like to recommend that because there's a commission opportunity as well as a base salary, and it's a really good entry-level position where you can meet a lot of vendors, learn about a lot of products, and you can build up your network with installers and sales reps. Oh, what else? Project coordinator, project manager, and estimator are all good positions to go into if they take the construction management certificate from Studio Institute. And those jobs really focus on estimation, budgeting, job cost, scheduling, and supervising.
Mm-hmm. Those are a lot of great opportunities for your students. And then I know that Studio Institute Denver has minor studies as well. Have you seen students land job opportunities that are related to those minor studies too, or have examples of what those could be?
Yeah, definitely. Social media is a good minor study for anybody, whether you want to work for a firm or you want to freelance, but a lot of students who want to become entrepreneurs will study the social media aspect heavily, which is really, it's a good skill for anyone, but it's a good skill to build up your own branding and business. Landscape design is a good minor study that I've seen some real estate agents pursue. And virtual staging is also a good minor study that I've seen some real estate agents take as well. So they'll be able to tour an empty home, and as long as they get the dimensions, they can stage it virtually and do a virtual walkthrough. So they don't have to always meet the client at an empty home, especially if they're showing it to a lot of clients, or if they have a client who's looking at a ton of places, or they're kind of on the edge or not sure. They don't have to take all of that time out of their schedule to go meet with them at each potential home or each potential commercial space. They could do it virtually.
Mm-hmm. And that's especially helpful today, right? In the virtual world that we're living in, and so many more opportunities moving to have some kind of a remote capacity. And that's also so many more jobs than I think a lot of people realize or can think of off the top of their head. And that just goes to show the value of having a mentor, a professor, a leader in the field to really guide you through this process, as well as how deep you can search when searching for these opportunities and how creative you can get when looking at different job titles. Because there's so much more out there than what you might limit yourself to if you're only typing in interior design or construction management. Like, there's so many opportunities within these umbrella terms, and sometimes you just have to be more strategic with those specific search terms to find even more open doors for you to apply to. What would be the biggest piece of advice that you have for a student completing their portfolio and about to apply to some of the positions after finishing your program?
I would recommend for them to practice, whether they practice with a career coach like you, if they set up an interview with me, but definitely practice reviewing their portfolio. They should know every single thing that they have listed on their portfolio. Some examples of just not being prepared that I've seen is somebody asking an interviewee, what is the occupancy requirement, or what is the occupancy number of this building? And they said, oh, I don't know, I guess I'll just count the number of beds here. And really just reviewing the portfolio and knowing this is the occupancy level, this is why I chose this material, this is how this is going to be installed, this is the budget on this project. So going through and thinking of every possible question that they could ask you about the portfolio and your project, and being prepared.
Mm-hmm. I think that's really good advice. And as a career coach, I would be more than happy to facilitate kind of mock interviews. I individualize and tailor my mock interviews to each different industry and job that you could be applying for. So I could absolutely ask those portfolio specific questions and really simulate what that would be like for when you're in the hot seat for the real deal, interviewing for a job or looking to work with a client and wanting to build that know, like, trust factor with them so that you can land the opportunity that you're looking for. If you're interested in learning about what current students' portfolios look like as they're about to finish the program and embark into the professional world, you should come to the graduation networking events. Madonna, could you tell us a little bit more about that coming up?
I have a networking event coming up on May 5th. It's posted on my website and on my social medias. It's free and open for anybody. It's going to be at my school at 66 South Logan Street. I will have vendors there from different companies. I'll have employers there, and then I will also have students showcasing their final portfolios.
So for any who are interested, that's a really great opportunity to see what portfolios look like, what your future portfolio could look like, and to know that you would have the support of a mentor, a professor who really knows what they're doing to help you build these portfolios throughout the program if you're interested, as well as having the support of a career coach like myself in your back pocket so that you can nail these portfolios and nail all the interviews that you have going forward.